1999, we had a very adventurous time there in pioneer work, where I learned so many important things, which are now helpful for my humble preaching. And then in 1999, my husband left me, left Krishna Consciousness, and yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's doing now. So, what?
Translation. Est-ce que quelqu'un a besoin d'une traduction en français?
Non, ça va.
Anybody needs translation?
No, it's okay.
Good. Excellent. Then we have double the time. Yes. Yes, so and since 1999 I'm basically living out of a suitcase. I preach 5 months in India and Bangladesh per year, 5 months. And 7 months per year I'm all around the world basically. This year I spent some time in the US and in Mauritius and Kenya and all around Europe. And yeah, in a couple of months I'm going to move back to India. And yeah, I have preached for over 25 years. I've been very involved in Bangladesh, which has given me deeper insights into our Vaishnava culture, because Bangladesh is a very special place. It's East Bengal. And many of Mahaprabhu's associates come from there. So there's so many holy places. And the culture, our Vaishnava culture, has really been preserved there. So over 25 years of spending regularly time there, I received a whole transformation. Actually, my whole worldview got put upside down. Because when I'm there, I'm only with the locals. I travel with them, eat with them, sleep with them, preach with them. There's no Western devotees there, even no devotees from India. It's all locals. Yeah, so that really has affected immensely my personal practice and also my humble preaching efforts. And that actually inspired me to establish an institute for spiritual culture. Because I realized not everybody can be so fortunate to spend time in Bangladesh. And I realized we need some training how to actually live what Prabhupada is giving us in the Bhagavatam maybe. Yeah, so to read Prabhupada's books, definitely a good start. But then the real challenge is, how do we live it? And especially here in the Western world, we are quite far away from Krishna's culture and system. And yeah, not so easy. In fact, it's a challenge. So, and my base is actually Mayapur. I spend 3 months per year in Mayapur every year. And I conduct a holy name retreat there in Chakradam, Nityananda's birthplace. And I have put so many courses together, which I teach in Mayapur. And now I'm putting these courses in book form. So I've published 6 books. And at the end of our little discussion here, I will tell you something little about each book, hoping that maybe some of you will feel inspired to get some. And by the way, the Maha cake will be served at 8 after our seminar here. So no need for you to jump up at 7 and run out and get prasadam, because it is hidden, I hope. Yes, you arranged this. Good. Yes. Just to make sure that those who attend the seminar also will get some prasadam, not that it's all gone by the time we are finishing. So you can be with peaceful mind here. Yes. So, and actually tomorrow we do a similar thing. We continue with our topic tomorrow. So today I would like to introduce the topic of the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. Actually, there is a whole book with this title. And when I give the seminar in Mayapur, it takes me about 10 hours. I give it over 4 days. So we will just have a little snippet here, hoping that maybe some of you will get the book. And tomorrow's session is the power of forgiveness, which is also a chapter of this book, because it's very much related to the false ego, actually. That's also a very relevant topic for probably most of us, because I'm sure we all have this experience that somebody does something nasty to us and we get offended and we find it very difficult to forgive and let go and move on, right? Have we had that experience? No? Oh. You're just joking, are you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that will be the topic for tomorrow, and it's also connected with the false ego. We will discover this tomorrow, and we will explore very practical tips and steps how we can actually become more forgiving. Yeah. So let me first share a few. You don't want to sit down, Prabhu? Huh? Oh, okay.
He's guaranteeing that the cake will be served at 8 and not before.
Okay, make sure it's served at 8, not before. Only when we finish our seminar. Okay? And don't you pinch it, please. Yeah, so let me begin by sharing what inspired me to give this topic of the false ego more attention. Because for many years I have been conducting holy name retreats all around the world, actually. And one day this realization struck me that unless we make also endeavors to subdue our false ego, while we are endeavoring to get on deeper levels of chanting, if we don't work on our false ego parallel, then our attempts to chant can be compared with an elephant taking bath. Because what does the elephant do? When he goes out, he takes the trunk, takes all the dirt, throws it back on his back. So that's what we do, because we are so trapped in these false ego patterns of behaviors, and we simply slide back into them, and we can't so easily get out of them and free ourselves from them. And as long as we are trapped in these false ego patterns of behaviors, we can't really receive that mercy and power which the holy name carries. That's why Mahaprabhu says, Trinada Pisavicena. You know, we have to be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. So that means false ego has to be subdued and dissolved. Yeah. So this realization, maybe you have to turn it down a little bit. There is some whistling noise in the sound. Yeah, put it down a touch, but not too much, otherwise I have to. Oops. Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is a bit too much down, because then I have to straighten up what's too much. Just turn it up a little bit. You turned it too down. Up. Hare Krishna. A little bit more. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, maybe let's try like that if I come a little closer. Okay. Yes, so this realization really struck me, that I thought, what's the use of all these holy name retreats if we're just so trapped in our false ego patterns of behaviors and we don't even realize? Because the false ego is so subtle that as a rule, we don't even identify it. Yeah. That's also an interesting point, that the bigger the false ego is, the less we see it. You would think it's the other way around, that the bigger something is, the more obvious it is to see. But no, for the ego it's really like that. The bigger it is, the more it blocks our ears, blocks our intelligence, we can't hear, we can't understand. In this regard, I had a funny little episode with one mataji in Europe. She has a very dominant and prominent false ego, and as a result of that, she often gets herself into trouble, you know, and has tension with other devotees. That's usually how it manifests. So then one day she turned to me and said, she started revealing her heart a little bit. So I thought, let me try and help her to understand what the problem is. And I was very careful because I know the false ego doesn't like to be irritated and poked. So I simply said, well, you know, the false ego always gets us into trouble. And her reaction was very unexpected to me. She was laughing. Come on, false ego, what's that? I don't have that. That's what she said. I don't have that. Come on, false ego, what's that? And she just laughed it off like that. And I was so shocked. I was thinking, my God, how is it possible? A person being so tormented by her false ego thinks she doesn't have one. Yeah? But that's exactly what happens. The bigger it is, the less we can see it. And the more we become purified, the more we realize that almost every day the false ego gets into our way and pushes us to say and do things which we shouldn't say and do. Yeah. So it is so subtle. You know? And then another time I was giving some little seminar on this topic in Vrindavan. And there's one mataji who I know for a few years. She's been at least practicing at least for 20, 25 years, seriously, living in the holy town with her family. So after the seminar, she came up to me, Prabhu, sit down, listen to the seminar. Welcome, welcome. Maybe, Mataji, can you move a little forward because you're really sitting in the door there and people can't come in. Maybe even a little more. Yeah, okay, good. That's better. Yeah, so, and then this Mataji came up to me and she said, oh, thank you for offering the seminar. Now I realize I have a false ego. And she said, actually before, I always thought this is just some theoretical, philosophical thing which has no relevance to me. But now I realize I actually have this. It concerns me. You know, so after 25 years of practice, people only realize this in a seminar. Yeah. My God. You know? So we can really miss it. And this is often what's happening. In the name of Krishna consciousness, we can feed and boost the false ego, you know, very nicely, pampering it, massaging each other's false egos. It's all happening massively, all in the name of preaching and practicing Krishna consciousness, instead of subduing and dissolving it. Yeah. So all these observations inspired me to give a little more attention to this topic. Yes. Because really, you know, we can ruin all our relationships, especially also in married life. Oh, married life can be a battlefield of false egos. Who is right, who is wrong? Just see, I told you, didn't I? Why didn't you do like I said? You know, all these petty, stupid little arguments which are going on, and not only between husband and wife, also with family, with parents, you know, all these ego battles are taking place. And we can spoil our whole life, you know. Even divorce often is a question of just allowing the false ego to get into our way and spoiling our relationships. Yes, so now let us begin by remembering that the soul is covered by the gross body, made from earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then there's the soul body, made from mind, intelligence, and here we have it, the false ego. So false ego is the most subtle material element of the subtle material body. And as we said, it's so subtle that we usually don't even identify it. And if we want to go back to Godhead, which I hope we all want, we actually have to fully spiritualize and transform the subtle body of mind, intelligence, false ego. Yeah. If this is not done, then we have to take birth again. Because at the moment of death, the subtle body takes the soul to the next existence. And only if the subtle body is fully spiritualized and transformed and all the material impressions and experiences are replaced with spiritual impressions and experiences, and all the desires have to be fully spiritualized, all the material attachments have to be transformed into spiritual attachments. So it requires actually quite some internal work. Not so easy, you know. But that's actually what the process of Krishna consciousness is all about. It's all about internal work, about transformation. Very often we take our devotional life in a very external way, you know. We just externally go through the motions. Okay, we get the rounds done, thank God, finished for today. And okay, we sit our time off here in the class, and Prabhupada Guru's okay, we offer the flowers and pay obeisances. You know, and it's all, it can all be rather external, simply going through the motions. But internally, we may not even be involved. Heart is not involved. We are not introspecting and reflecting and you know. Yes. And then, of course, it takes, quite a few lifetimes to go back to God. I once heard it takes one life of chanting in Nama Aparat, offensive stage, then one life Namabas, clearing stage, then one life Shuddhanam, pure chanting of the holy name. But maybe it takes even more, you know. So not so easy, not such a cheap thing to enter Goloka Vrindavan, you know, and to enter Krishna's personal, intimate pastimes. My God, you know. I mean, we have to be keen. That's what Rupa Goswami says, greed, loyam. That's what we need. We have to be intensely greedy for Krishna. But I think even there we are often lacking a bit, you know. We're just kind of cruising along there. But there's not that urge and that greed there to, I want Krishna, you know. So not such a cheap thing to go back to God. And the subtle body of mind, intelligence, false ego, we have been carrying this with us for so many lifetimes. So many. Yes. So there's so many deep impressions and so much information stored in there, you know. It's almost like computer chip with so much information, and that all has to be transformed and dissolved and worked through, and yeah. Of course, we can always hope and pray for Prabhupada's causeless mercy, the Lord's causeless mercy, But yeah, we have to do some serious internal work, that's for sure. Yeah. So now interesting to observe how the false ego starts acting already at very young age. I was once visiting one family, their daughter was 1 at that time, and hey Prabhu, why don't you come inside? Sitting out there, hiding. I like to see your smiling faces here, but when you hide there, maybe you're hoping you can more peacefully sleep without me noticing it or something. It's such a small group here anyway, so every person counts. Every person is very valuable. Yeah, so I was visiting this one family. So I was visiting this family and their daughter was 1. She could walk, but she could not talk. And while I was talking to the parents in the lounge room, the girl was bringing all her toys from her room. And I didn't think it was such a noteworthy thing. But then the mother said, she's showing off her toys because you are here. I thought, oh my God, already at 1 year of age, this kicks in that we want to show off. My toys are so special. And because they're my toys, that's why I am so special. Yeah, the toys are the kids' first possession, and they often argue over the toys. No, it's mine, no, it's mine. So yeah, that's how it all starts, already at that young age. And even before 1 year of age, kids often throw their tantrums and want to push their, desire through and to have a whole power battle there with the parents and all that. So it starts very early, And basically the false ego makes us think to be something which we are not. That's in a nutshell what the false ego does. We think ourselves to be something which we are not really. And if there's a false ego, then there surely must be also a true ego, right? Yeah. So what's the true ego? Any idea? There's some Bengali statement. What's the true ego in Bengali? Jiva Srupa Krishna Nityadas. Yes. I am eternal servant. That's our true identity. We are always serving in some situation, in some lifetime, once like this, once like that, but yeah, that's our true position, servant in the spiritual world, servant. But we think ourselves so many other things, the master, enjoyer, proprietor, everything is for me, and what? Oh, he needs translation after all. Okay. What did you understand?
Yes, but I can't translate.
No, he will come back. I just want to make sure that everybody understands, not that you're, out of politeness, you're sitting here, but you don't actually understand anything. Yeah, so
Ah oui, là-bas. D'accord.
yes, just waiting for a minute until we organize here. No need for you to leave. Oh. Okay. What to? Yes. Okay. So yes, instead of understanding I am eternal servant, we think ourselves to be something else. And it all starts with I am a boy, I am a girl, I'm a good boy, I'm a bad girl. You know, we accept all these designations. And then the nationality, of course. I am Indian, I am French, I'm German, I'm Bangladeshi, and so, and then as we grow up, yes, now I'm student, I'm a medical student, engineering student, I'm a very successful student, I'm a useless student. So all these kind of designations, we really take them into the core of our very identity, right? Yes. And then we may get married, so now I'm husband, I'm wife, I'm father, I'm mother, and even when we come to Krishna consciousness, it doesn't stop there, right? I'm a brahmachari, I'm a fired up brahmachari, I'm a spaced out brahmachari, and I'm a grihastha, and I'm a paka grihastha, or I'm a spaced out grihastha, and I'm a rich grihastha, I'm a poor grihastha, and I'm a head pujari, and I'm a sankirtan leader, and I'm the head cook. Actually, talking about head cook, last summer I was visiting New Rajamandala in Spain at the farm. And there was a Prabhupada disciple there in the kitchen cooking. And I asked him, are you the head cook? And he said, I'm a cook without head. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm a cook without head. Yeah, so in any case, you know, we accept so many designations. I'm a sannyasi, I'm a temple president, I'm a preacher, I'm a guru, whatever. So many designations according to different roles we play. And we all play so many roles in life, right? At home we have one role, then at work, in the office, we have a different role. And then when we come to the temple, again we play a different role. So these roles are all like caps or hats we are wearing at different times. But hopefully, usually we don't identify with these hats, right? Unless it's a very super special one. And we think, oh, nobody's got this fancy hat like me. And then we lose it. Oh my God, I lost a part of my very self. So that, of course, can also be there. But as a rule, we don't identify so much with hats. You know? But with these roles, we do identify so much. Yes. So now my question to you, just to also stimulate your thinking a little bit. So my question to you, why do we identify so much with these roles? Why do we think it's me? What do you think? Any suggestions? Huh? suggestion?
What's he?
Well, obviously. But no, why are we identifying, huh?
Because we need to have an identity.
Well, but it could be servant, you know?
Because we don't accept our eternal identity, we accept a partial temporary identity.
Yeah, I mean, one reason is because of ignorance, because we don't know that we are not the body. We don't know we are the eternal soul. And we identify with the body and therefore with the temporary roles we are playing. That's one reason. But there is another reason also. What is the other reason? Why do we identify? Come on.
To feel secure?
To feel secure, yes. And what else? What?
Envy towards Krishna.
Envy towards Krishna, yes, also not wrong. But what do these roles, let me help you a little bit, what do these roles do to us? What do they do?
Trying to be controller until
Give us some power.
Yes, and therefore some enjoyment. Exactly. Yes, they give us this sense of importance. I am somebody here. Oh yes, I'm not a nobody, I'm a somebody. And I have some importance, right? Yes, yes. So, and that's exactly what the false ego likes, to enjoy this sense of importance, this reputation. Yeah, that's what the false ego is running after and demanding that kind of enjoyment. And of course, the more importance our role gives us, the more we identify with it, and it is very dear to us, right? So if we have some high position and work, we are the director of a company, or in the temple, we are the big commander, leader, TP. No, I'm not talking about you. You know, whatever. Or even higher, GBC, regional secretary, you know, so unless we are very realized and free of this desire to enjoy this importance, we will identify with it. Yeah, this quite easily happens. Yeah. I once spoke to a very senior person, I won't tell who it was, with a high position, and because I have some friendly relationship with that person, we were talking a little, and the idea was in the air that this person would have to give up their position. And I was saying, well, you know, there's life beyond being ... I won't say what. There's life beyond being this and that. And then the person said, yeah, all right, but who am I then? And I said, well, Vaishnava, servant. Yeah, okay. But anyway, what am I then? You know? Yes. So the person, the senior to me, it was not my position to further comment, you know, but I was a little surprised. My God, this is how we identify with these positions. And when we have to give them up, we can almost fall into some identity crisis. Who am I then? You know? Yes. So I thought, yeah, one more reason why we should give this false ego more attention. Because after so many years of spiritual practice, the Shastra is promising we should be free from this attachment. Yeah? But well, so often, yeah, we observe that we are not so free of this attachment at all. So yeah, because easily we can miss it and we don't actually work on it and we just feed and boost the false ego very nicely. Krishna Consciousness offers a lot of opportunity for this. Yes, so the reason why we identify with these roles is exactly that, because they give us a sense of importance. Yeah. And, thinking ourselves to be something which we are not. Will this ever give us a peaceful situation in this world? No. If we are thinking ourselves to be something which we are not, we are always in anxiety. How to make everybody believe that we are something which we're actually not. Right? So it's quite an anxiety, it's full of anxieties. We can imagine we are the cleaner in a big company, and then one day we declare, oh, I'm actually the director now. So, my God, we would be quite in anxiety how to make everybody believe that we are the director, right? And what if they find out that we are not? Oh my God, sleepless nights. So and then after a few days we say, oh, actually I was just joking, I'm not the director, I'm just the cleaner. Oh, thank God, I can just be my humble self here and I don't have to try and be somebody who I'm not. So this is the whole situation in life in the material world. As long as we are influenced by this false ego, always trying to be something which we are not, identifying with it, we cannot be peaceful. Yeah. And as we manage to subdue and dissolve the false ego a bit more and identify with our true position of servant, we actually do proportionally become more peaceful. We can observe that in our life. Also in one purport in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada makes this nice analogy. And he says life in the material world is like a nonsensical stage performance. Prabhupada's combination of words is so unique. Nonsensical stage performance. I mean, even that is a good reason for every devotee to learn enough English so they can read Prabhupada's books in English. Because, Prabhupada's English is very special and sweet. And every time we translate, we actually lose something of the sweetness. So what's all that about? Was that a comment from the audience? Anyway, yes. So this nonsensical stage performance, very, very unique combination. And this is really what it is. A nonsensical stage performance, a crazy circus. We can imagine every lifetime on the stage. One life, Indian man's body. Oh, I'm so important, I have so many things to do. Running, so busy. So and then death comes. Curtain closes, show is over, it's all finished. And then next life, maybe German woman's body, if you're unlucky. And again, Running, running, running. So many important things to do. So busy, busy, busy. No time for this Krishna consciousness. And then again, curtain closes, dum, 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 show is over, it's all finished. And then maybe next life, dog in Sweden, barking, biting. Dogs also have a dog's mind, dog's intelligence. Oh yes, and some things they're so much smarter than we human beings, you know, they can smell so many things and all that. And then dogs false ego. Definitely, dogs have a very strong false ego. Barking, biting, get out of here, this is my property. Yeah, so like that, every lifetime, a nonsensical stage performance. And it's the false ego which entangles us in this crazy circus, nonsensical stage performance. Yes, actually we can say there is two kinds of realities for us. There is this very flickering, temporary, nonsensical stage performance, right? Which we usually in our beginning stage of devotional life, we call that reality, right? That yes, I'm here in France and Paris, I have to finish my studies, I have to get a job, and yes, and I'm a husband, and I have kids, and I have to earn some income, and. So we call that reality. But at the moment of death, all these things which are now so important for us, at that moment, no significance whatsoever. Show is finished, curtain closes. You know, good to remember this sometimes, you know. Yes, and then there is eternal reality. My relationship with Krishna. That's actual reality. That's the only thing we are allowed to keep at the moment of death. And that's what we take into our next existence, my relationship with Krishna. So we can actually say the process of Krishna consciousness is meant to bring about a transformation of our perception of reality, actually, right? Yeah. When we start off, as I said, the nonsensical stage performance, we think that to be reality, but then as we re-establish our lost and forgotten relationship with Krishna more tangibly through the deep chanting of the holy name, gradually, you know, our perception of reality transforms and we become more and more established in that eternal reality of my relationship with Krishna. And all right, we just play the game of being a part of this nonsensical stage performance here. As long as we have a material body, we somehow have to go along with the whole game, right? But we know this is just a nonsensical stage performance, and thank God it's got actually nothing to do with my relationship with Krishna. So Prabhupada, for example, he was firmly established an eternal reality of my relationship with Krishna. That was his reality, right? And yeah, he just came to this crazy world just to give us Krishna consciousness. But you know, he was firmly living in eternal reality. You know? So yeah, as we deepen our relationship with Krishna through chanting, we will also experience some transformation of reality. Yes. So now I do want to introduce and briefly touch upon one interesting verse from Bhagavad Gita, 1858. where Krishna gives us two options of acting. Option number one is, he says, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. No need to look it up. No need. Just here. I'm not reading the whole paper. You know? Yes, because now you got so distracted there with your phone that you didn't even hear what I said. Right? I will repeat. So, option number one. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. Wow. You know? So, being conscious of Krishna, acting in consciousness of Krishna, what does that exactly mean in our discussion here? How do we act? What does it mean in consciousness of Krishna, related to the false ego?
We are aware that we are acting for the pleasure of Krishna and not for our own sense gratification.
Yeah, so we act in consciousness of being servant. Jiva Srupava Krishna Nityadas. I'm eternal servant. In that consciousness, we are acting. Simply servant, nothing else. And of course it also means we are following Krishna's instructions and recommendations. Right? Yes. So, and if we act like that, we can pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life. Wow, that's amazing. Isn't it? Yes. Yes. So it actually means acting in the mood of servant brings the solution to all challenges and problems. We will discover this in a minute. So now let's have a look at option number 2. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Yes. So, false ego gets us into trouble, blocks our ears, blocks our intelligence, we can't hear, we can't understand, and we will be lost. At the very latest, at the moment of death, when we have to take birth again. But already so many times before then we find ourselves lost. And this is a very practical thing. When we look back on our life, whenever there were some, frustrating moments where we were suffering, now looking back, we may understand that we acted through false ego. And that's what created our miseries. That maybe we wanted to prove that we are right. We didn't want to listen to anybody else and accept their advice. Or we tried to be the hero who saves the situation. Or whatever, it may have been. But usually it's like that, And at the time when we act, we may not be able to identify it. But then some years later, looking back, we may realize, oh yeah, of course this had to end in some frustration because I was acting through false ego, trying to be something which I'm not. I was not servant. I tried to be the controller or the master or the enjoyer and Yeah, so it's a very practical thing we can keep in the back of our mind, that whenever we face some frustrating situation, we can try and make 2 steps back and ask ourselves, am I humble servant here? Or am I trying to be something else? Master, controller, enjoyer. And then we may realize, yes, I'm not my servant, and that's why I'm experiencing some frustration here. And if I just accept the role of servant, then everything is solved, right? Yes. Let's take some practical example of everyday life in an ISKCON temple. Let us imagine we are the temple president. Not hinting at you. And our GBC comes and says, "Oh, Prabhu, I think we should maybe put somebody else into the position." So if we are true servant, it will not be an issue. We will say, "Yes, sure. All I want to do is serve. And I thought I can serve you all by being a temple president. But if you have some different suggestion, no problem. Please let me know. How can I serve?" Right? Yes. So then this will not be an issue. Right? Yes. No big deal. But unfortunately, usually it's not quite like that. You know? Most of the times. Having been around for 40 years, I always observe all kinds of things. And my God, you know, sometimes there's a whole big, you know, politics going on and scandals and people don't want to let go of their position. And I know communities where first the community split in half because, you know, they didn't want to hand over the leadership to somebody else. No, they wanted to stay with their followers, so it split in half. And then one half even split again in half. You know, so these things you have when people are not, when they're attached to the position. And of course, as we said, the higher the position it is, the more it gives this sense of importance, and the more we get attached to it, the more we identify with it, and the less we are willing to let go of it. Right? Yeah. You would like to come back in and sit down? Down there? Okay. Yeah, so this is just a simple example. Or let us imagine a different example. Let us imagine a preacher comes and is scheduled for the Sunday feast lecture, and then a Maharaj comes unexpectedly. And then the temple president says, "Oh, maybe Maharaj should give the Sunday feast lecture." So, if we are humble servant, we will say, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I can hear, I can serve by speaking, I can serve by hearing. It's all the same. All I want to do is serve." But if we are attached, then we will get all angry and irritated. What? Forget it. I was scheduled. This Maharaj was not even expected to come, you know, and I was scheduled, and it's the only chance for me to meet the congregation. And what is this? I'm never ever going to visit this temple again. And we get all irritated and angry, you know. Simple examples, you know, from everyday life and in this temple. So yeah, being servant always offers the solution to all problems. It's indeed like that. Very practical and simple, you know, to remember. So whenever we find ourselves in an agitated mood, we should make these 2 steps back and see, am I servant here or am I trying to be something else? But the problem is, you know, that once the false ego is all irritated, we actually cannot see. Yeah, that's the problem. So that's why we do need a mentor. I've got a whole book on that topic, the blue one there, Sheltering Relationships. This is all about the importance of having a mentor and eventually becoming one to others. And especially with all these subtle things like false ego, envy, we need this well-wishing friend who says, "Hey, just cool down, relax. You're overreacting here a bit. Try and see, are you actually servant or are you the master and controller here? We need somebody who helps us to recognize, who reminds us. Because so easily the false ego takes over and we can't even hear and we can't even understand. And we do the opposite of what we should be doing. So that's why this mentorship is such an important topic. We have lost so many devotees because we did not understand the importance of mentor. That just having guru not enough, because many of our gurus, they have hundreds and even thousands of disciples. They cannot possibly know each and every devotee's individual situation in life. And Krishna is testing us. And as we become more senior, the tests become more severe and heavy. And they have to be more heavy to dig deep and free us from these more subtle anarthas. They're more difficult to uproot. So that's why Krishna sends more difficult tasks. And if we don't have a mentor, very easily we don't have that shelter. And then we take shelter of our false ego. We get offended. These guys there in the Paris temple, forget it, I'm not going there again. And ridiculous. How can they treat me like this? And then we get offended, and sometimes we fade away, never to be seen again. We think, I can practice alone in my home, chant, worship my deity. But then how long can we practice by ourselves? It gets a bit dry and boring. And without association, we are lost. So these things very often, unfortunately, happen. Yes. So now this verse, 1858, also gives us some other important point. Namely, that there's not only two ways of action, but there's also two motivating forces. Like in the material world, what's the main motivating force? False ego, ambitiousness. I want to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, IT expert. We choose some designation which we feel will give a lot of satisfaction and importance to our false ego, and then we strive for that in an ambitious way. And because that's the path to success in material life, very easily we take this also into our spiritual life. And then we say, yes, I want to become a guru, a sannyasi, a worldwide traveling preacher, famous kirtaniya, and. So we take some designation which we feel gives us a lot of sense of importance, and we strive for that. We think that's the path to success. But no, it's not. So in spiritual life, for Vaishnava, what should be the motivating force? Who understands? What's the motivating force? Yes, all I want to do is serve. That's all I want to do. Serve, serve, serve. No matter how, whatever the devotees want me to serve in, I'm happy to serve. That should be the motivating force. All I want to do is serve. And interesting to know that Paramatma in the heart witnesses that we have a selfless and pure desire of simply wanting to sacrifice ourselves in service. And then Krishna arranges the right doors to open, the right opportunities to come up at the right time to help us move forward. So this is quite interesting and an important point to understand, that in Krishna consciousness, no need to chalk out a whole career. What do I want to do in Krishna consciousness? No, if we just give ourselves in service, if we serve with heart and soul, everything will develop. Yeah, guaranteed. It really works like that. If I may use my humble self as example, I never had the idea to become a traveling preacher, to write books. No, I never thought I would ever do this. Not in my wildest dreams, you know? Yeah. But I did try to, no matter what I was doing, I tried to cultivate this mood of sacrificing myself in service, giving my very best, showing Krishna that I'm willing to do any damn thing in order to please Guru and Krishna. That mood I was somehow taking up, you know. And then from there, everything developed. Everything developed. Yes. The doors opened at the right time. Yeah. It really works like that. And I mean, we see the same in our first generation devotees, our Prabhupada disciples. They also simply had this mood of sacrificing themselves for Prabhupada. You know? And that actually gives some empowerment. That attracts Krishna's mercy. Because let's be clear, if we want to do something little in Prabhupada's mission, we need some little empowerment. We need some mercy. We need some blessings. Just on false ego drive, we cannot do anything. No. Not in spiritual terms. Right? Yes. So, and this is how to get it, by really sacrificing ourselves in service. That attracts Krishna's merciful glance upon us, and that gives us some little empowerment, and from there everything else develops. And of course it's also very practical. Naturally, if we are dutiful and serving nicely, you know, then our authorities and Guru will see that and think, oh, this person can maybe do more. You know, let him or her accept more responsibility. You know, it's very natural. So if we serve with a genuine, selfless mood, it will attract, you know, more service and responsibilities and so on. You know. Yeah. And especially in regards to preaching or writing, the order actually has to come from above. Yes. There's nothing worse than somebody thinking, oh, I'm such a good preacher, I have to preach, or I have to write. No, that's false ego. The order has to come from above. You should write. You should preach. Yeah. Yeah. Like that. And saying this does not mean that we cannot maybe reveal our mind to our Guru or something and say, oh, Guru Maharaj, I actually would like to maybe travel and preach a little bit or something. You know, what do you think? And then if he likes it, yes, sure, go for it. Or he might say, just wait a little more, purify your heart more, Sankirtan, let Prabhupada preach through his books, and then eventually you will get there, you know? Yes. Yeah, so that's very important for us devotees to understand, you know, that this ambitiousness, that's the path of success in material life. But in spiritual life, all we want to do is serve. Of course, in our initial stage of Krishna consciousness, the false ego motivating force is much stronger than the motivating force of simply wanting to serve Guru and Krishna, right? Yes, it is. So, false ego is not all bad. It also has some little good side to it. Because at least it gets us moving. It gets us going, you know? So if we just give up the false ego before we cultivated a bit more of a service mood, then we may just drown in tamaguna and laziness and do nothing. So initially, false ego gets us going, you know. Even, I mean, we've got a few book distributors here. I was also out financing it out for many years. So I remember initially as a young devotee, you know, the result gets you going. Oh, I distributed so many books. False ego gratification. Alright? Yes. So that's why Prabhupada knew and Prabhupada introduced to read out the scores. Right? Just to get everybody more intensely working hard there, you know. Yeah. But if nobody hands in any scores, it's not getting read out, then well, we may take it too easy. We may not try hard enough. And I remember when I was Brahmachari in Australia and we were in Sekatan, when we had a small day, we were not handing in the scores. We were putting it on the next day. Better no score than a small one, you know, that was our motto. If there's no score read out and our name is not mentioned, oh well, maybe she didn't go out, maybe she was sick or whatever. But just our name being read with one small book, you know, this was, for us beginners, it was too embarrassing, so we rather wouldn't hand it in, you know. Yes. So yeah, initially the false ego is motivating us, you know, but good to recognize and gradually, you know, transform our motivating force. Because if we don't, we will not last, right? And we also have seen that. So many big book distributors in Germany, we had them, so many of them. Where are they now? Gone, you know? So if we run forever on the mode of passion, you know, false ego, passion, ambition, it will end in distress and we will give it up. Yeah. So we have to transform the motivating force, you know, and not stay forever on the ambitious false ego motivating force, you know. And another little thing to understand is also that grihastha life is based on I, me and mine. It is based on the sense of ownership. My house, my family, my kids, my car, you know? Yeah. And that actually, it's almost like Krishna's trick to tricks us. So we learn to become responsible and dutiful, you know? Yes. So grihastha life is all about the I, me and mine, and then to purify the I, me and mine. That's why we are meant to give in charity. That's why we meant to receive the sadhus in our house and have programs and so we understand it's not my house, it's actually Krishna's home and you know, so like that. Also a good way to see how the false ego has some little good part is when we look at temple cars. You have a car here in Paris temple? Yes, you have a temple car? somehow. This already sounds like a good example of what I want to get across. Because usually the temple cars, they're bombs, right? Everybody drives them, everybody bashes them around. Nobody takes care of them nicely. Nobody washes and cleans it and services it nicely. But if it is my car, then I'm very particular and I'm very serving it very nicely. And you put a scratch into my car, you have to repair this and you know. Yes, so a good example, you know, to illustrate that yes, false ego has some little good part in it, even though it should be the other way round, that we say, oh, my car is not so important, but Krishna's car, the temple car, that is Krishna's. Of course, everything is Krishna's, not only the temple car, but my car is also Krishna's. But yeah, but unfortunately we don't have that mood in our neophyte stage, and yeah, temple car is just bashed around. But my car, I'm taking very carefully care of it, you know. Yeah. So yeah, false ego also has some little good part to it too. It's not all bad, but eventually we have to transform. Okay, so I guess this is all we can discuss today. Let me see if we have any questions. Any questions or comments or anything that needs to further clarification? Do we have anybody there online? Is there anybody?
Yeah, 3 persons.
3 persons, so if they have something. Yes, Prabhu.
Like we all are afflicted with false ego. As you mentioned, is our constant companion, troublemaker. But at times we have, ego of being a nice servant also. I serve better than you. I'm the better one.
Oh yes. Yeah.
How to deal with it? We have to be a servant, but it's being, it comes with that ego also that, I am better servant.
Yes. Oh yeah, false ego is so tricky. It can get into any little gap into the door, you know. Even my guru is the best, and therefore I'm the best because he's my guru. Or my deities, they are very special, and because they're my deities, that's why I am so special. So false ego. Oh, look how humble I am. Oh my God, there's never an end to it. You know? So yeah, so subtle, it can ruin and poison anything. Even fanaticism. How does fanaticism come about? Also, false ego. Let's say, in many parts of the world, the temples always have some Harinam fanatic. So we all know Harinam is such an important thing. The Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. But then the false ego comes in because it's so important. And I am the only one who actually recognizes how important it is. That's why I am so important. Because I'm the only one who knows Prabhupada's desire. Yeah, and that's how we become fanatics. Yeah, it's false ego again and again. Yeah, so I mean, first step is always to hear about it, that we recognize, we identify it, because very easily we can get confused and we think, oh, what's wrong? The person is very dedicated to his guru. What's wrong with that? Of course, we all feel my guru is special because he saves us, but we keep this very privately. We don't broadcast it and canvas and oh, my guru, So, but if we don't identify that what the problem is, the false ego, taking this good disciple relationship, even such a sublime relationship, and poisoning it, and bringing attention to oneself, glorifying oneself. He is my guru, and that's why I'm so important. So we are glorifying ourselves instead of guru or the deity. So that's what the false ego does. Just poisoning everything. What else, Phil?
You were mentioning that it's important at some point to transform this motivation force from false ego to service attitude. So what are the keys for that transformation?
Yeah, well, it's all in there. I mean, obviously, we only today introduced the topic a little bit. But in a nutshell, there is all kinds of rules of Vaishnava etiquette. Vaishnava etiquette is always our saving grace, and especially here in the Western world, some of these Vaishnava etiquette rules we don't even know, and we don't even follow them. Yes. So, but we just don't have the time now to start a whole new chapter, to discuss them. But basically, one track is the chanting, the deep chanting. It's a whole science and secret, not just blabbering something down and getting the rounds out of our way. We can hardly even call that chanting. But actually Bhaktisiddhanta says we have to chant the holy name longing to serve. Any chanting which is not longing to serve is useless, Bhaktisiddhanta says. Because in a nutshell, I'm really summarizing here, that when we chant while longing to serve, that establishes us in dasya. We can imagine if we chant while longing to serve, calling out, please Krishna, all I want to do is serve, serve, serve. So then sooner or later we get the point, I'm a servant. Pretty simple and logical. But if we're thinking of so many other things, how to enjoy and how to get more and more followers on Facebook and all that kind of thing, well, then we will not be established in servant. So it's the chanting plus Vaishnava etiquette and culture. These are the two tracks. And there's a few interesting rules of Vaishnava etiquette. Actually, one of them we will touch upon tomorrow. So please come back. Tomorrow we will discuss the power of forgiveness, and forgiving is based on being able to tolerate. And being able to tolerate is connected with the false ego, because it's the false ego that stops us from tolerating it, rebels and complains and protests and all that. Any other last little thing? Yes?
I have two questions actually. I'm just asking this for my personal purification to know. Maybe it can be same in someone else also life. First one is mentorship is needed, as you told. Sometimes what I saw that we don't want to give full authority to our mentor. We want some mentor, but we want they control us or they give us advice according to our way, and we keep a certain boundary not to cross that, so that I can just keep myself on this certain
Very true.
And how to remove this. I'll collect this very soon.
Sheltering relationships, that's the whole topic about mentorship. I mean, to take shelter is a very deep thing. So very often, we accept the mentor just as a formality. But in our heart, we remain independent. We don't take shelter. You know, mentorship, taking shelter means that we want to be corrected by this person. But we can reflect, do we have anybody in our life who we really want to be corrected by? Usually the false ego immediately protests when somebody corrects us. What do you mean? It wasn't me. Who are you to tell me? You know? So that's always a false ego there, you know. So that means we are only taking shelter in name only. And this is not only with mentor like that, this is even with guru like that. Oh yes, I've seen it. You know, that people make their own decisions and then they go to guru and ask for the blessings. You know?
Yeah.
But then I've once was witnessing such a darshan. One young unmarried girl wanted to live in Vrindavan, from Europe she was. And you know, she wanted to get the blessings. And her guru, he was not so happy about it, trying to convince her from this side and that angle, you know, to let go of it. But she was fixed. I want to live in Vrindavan. So then what could he say? He said, okay, then try. And she said, try. My guru wants me to live in Vrindavan. He ordered me. I should live in Vrindavan. I've got his full blessings. Yeah? So like then we cheat ourselves. Yeah? But actually blessings is not some magic thing. Blessings means guidance and instruction. So if we really want the blessings of Guru, we ask for his guidance and instruction and we are happy to accept, even if it is not what we want to hear. You know? So it's not only with mentor like that, it's even with Guru like that. But it's just a formality. Yes, I have to have Guru, so I'm initiated. And you know, but deeper than our heart, we do what we like. Our first consideration is not, oh, what is our Guru thinking about that? Will he be pleased? No.
Thank you, Mataji. And second one is, sometimes due to our strong conditioning, we preliminarily don't identify what is our fault, or it's due to our false ego or something. But when we surrender to someone, he gives us knowledge and we become little by little we understand when days passes that it's my fault only, and we get ready to say sorry or do the things. But it takes so long time as it's strong conditioning. Then we become frustrated how to remove this as early as possible. So is this mentality good, or we should do some better approach to?
Well, I guess
don't get frustrated also.
This is connected with our topic tomorrow, I would say. The power of forgiveness. You know? Yes. How to let go and also ask for forgiveness and forgive others and so on.
And also when we try really from our heart, we bring to Krishna, but at the same time we see he's helping, but it's very little by little. So it takes a long time. We see that as I am expecting, I'm not getting the response from him. So is it the fault from my side, or it's something else?
Well, I mean, we have to be patient. Obviously, we've been for so many lifetimes in this material world. And also we may just not really sincerely want to give up certain conditionings. Especially when it comes to false ego, we still have this hope that the false ego will give us some juicy fruits to enjoy. You know, so we are hanging on to it. We don't really want to give up, you know. Yes. All right, so thank you for coming. Please come back tomorrow. If there's anybody who is interested in the books, you know, the False Ego book is definitely a very interesting reading. There is a whole chapter on chanting also, how to chant so we can really receive the power of the Holy Name. And mentorship is that. And then spiritual culture is all about women. We women are very powerful. We have a powerful Shakti and how to use that feminine Shakti and so on. And that's a matchmaking book, Entering the Grihastha Ashram, for those who are not married yet and want to do things according according to Krishna's recommendation. And family life as an ashram, secrets of success, how to create the culture of bhakti in our home, for married couples, or even before we get married as preparation. And my latest new book is the Vanaprastha, Meeting Death with Joy. Yeah, death is a very interesting, fascinating topic, very relevant to all of us. We try to pretend that it will never happen to us, but no, sooner or later death will knock on our door. So good to understand what's taking place there and the subtle levels, how to prepare and how to support others in their journey. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swami Vivekananda ki jai. Gaura Premananda.
Jai.